I feel like I have the typical froggy voice that comes along with a cold. Sorry, everybody. We'll just let Jeff do most of the talking tonight. How are you, Jeff? You were in parades today, huh?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I was one of the last parades I think of my season. I mean, in the for our team that I was helping with the Lisa McLean for Congress campaign.
Awesome.
There might be one more parade though that we have to do because we thought this was the last one, and then somebody was like, "Oh, there's one in Carroll, Michigan," and we were like, "All right,
Wait,
guess we're
what?
doing another one." So
What's
I
your
think I
son
did
like?
7 this year. So.
What is it like right now? I mean, what's the temperature of the audience when you're out and about?
Oh, in these rural communities, it's amazing. And there's so
Yeah.
many people there. It's just, there was probably 5,000 people at this parade.
What?
And everybody's just having a good time.
That's
Everyone's just
awesome.
having a fun, it's great.
That's
So,
amazing. Well, welcome to everybody to our next installment of. We got to come up with a catchy name for this, Jeff. For the Americans Unite for Michigan, just our kind of our
yeah.
infomercial, not that, but just there's just a lot of information percolating that Jeff and I have. It's kind of second nature to us, could we say, that, the things we're tracking. And we really want this to be like a format that is helpful to you all over Michigan. So in the comments, as you jump on, let us know where you're from. Let us know what topics you're connected with. Share this video, and we will do that as well. One of the things that Jeff and I are learning, I think the trick of this is not everybody can get on right at the time we go live, which is understandable. So we're taking time to share it into multiple groups, and it does catch steam that way. Like a lot of people are doing it. So encourage people that even if they can't watch it right on, like we'd love to join. We'd love to have them join us. So I feel like, Jeff, out before we jump into our topics, we really need to pay honor to what today is, September 11th.
Yep.
And I was joking with Jeff earlier, and I'm like, okay, now we're going to make obvious how old Amy is and how young Jeff is for this. But tell us, where were you 21 years ago?
Where was I? Well, I don't fully remember it.
See, I
See,
knew
that's how I
it.
was in 6th grade.
Okay.
And I believe I was taken out of class, but
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. But that's unfortunately my memory of it. But at the same time, I make sure to, even though I don't have a strong memory of it,
Yep.
but I am out and about, or I'm reminding people, and it's such an important day to pay
Mhm.
tribute to, but also just to take a couple moments to yourself and to hear and to listen and just kind of that
And to
aspect. It's
remember, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's the significance of just history in general, but I know, like, for me, and this is showing our age, but I was in college and had been in an appointment and had heard on the radio. I was just thrown off. Like, you don't understand when it's not normal. You don't understand what all is going on. But yes, definitely walking into the college, um, you know, college, and they had it on the big screen what was happening. And I just come from a very patriotic family anyways, that I think you and I both know, like in the political sphere, this is something that people can look at politics, they can say there's so much evil and there's so many bad. Well, okay, there is, but that's the same with manufacturing, medical, you name it. Like there's trauma, there's corruption. But I think in politics, like it is a family, and we are very good about remembering significant days. And so for all those that were directly impacted by it, just know that it may feel like the world has moved on, but it hasn't. We still remember. And that segue, we'll segue with this. That's part of what happened on 9/11 reminds us of why our efforts are so important, because freedom can be destroyed, can be tampered with, can be hurt so quickly. And just like what we've all experienced with Whitmer over the last 4 years, yeah. So everything matters. We have to be involved. So
I
let's
mean
jump
that's
in.
that's
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
quote from I believe it was Ronald Reagan that said freedom is only one generation
Isn't
away
that
from being gone. So
so crazy? It's so
yeah.
crazy. Um, so one of the topics that we wanted to touch base with everybody, and I'm going to let you talk, and I'm going to mute it because I'm obviously outside. Bring us up to speed on where we're at with Proposal 2 and what's happening and how people can jump on board, what to watch for tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's really important. So unfortunately, as we know now, Proposal 2 is on the ballot. Ballots were finalized on Friday. They've started to be printed. They are being tested. They are going through all those different mechanisms. So then they're ready to be sent out to military and overseas on September 24th and to the general public on the 29th. So Proposal 2, I think the most important thing is we need to make sure everybody knows it's happening, because so many people don't know that this horrific proposal to make it so it's in the Constitution that you never have to show an ID to vote ever again is on the ballot this fall. And it's going to, this is just the next step to be for the Democrats and for the left to continue their transition, their transformation of America. And it's so important. We Secure My Vote is starting to get a lot more heavily. We're starting, the No campaign is beginning. We're getting the word out. The website will be live. We're going to transition our website probably in the next couple of days. It should be live early this week, as well as Heather's been posting in the group, in the chat. If you want to sign up for email updates from us, securemivote.org/email is the link. It's important that you get in, like you get notice and all that stuff, because we're going to have literature to go. There will be other normal campaign things that you see, most likely TV commercials, radio ads, just different stuff like that that you'll know is out there. But it's all starting to kick off because we're, I believe, 58 days away. So to save our state.
Oh my gosh. So just so everybody knows, in case everybody feels like that you have to know it all, even Jeff and I that have been doing this a long time, we're still learning. And poor Jeff, I from time to time will still say, Jeff, what about this? And what about this? So just the other day, and how often have we talked about this? Will you clarify for everybody? There are so many different talking points for this, but what we need viewers to help us make sure that you guys are clear on what the priority talking points are, and make sure you are also encouraging others. So when you get people that say, yeah, but I thought it was for this, and I don't understand it all, so I don't feel like I can talk about it, they need to remember 3 points. 1, 2, 3. What are they, Jeff?
Yep, the 3 points. So it's going to put in the Constitution that you never have to show an ID to vote ever again. It's going to make it so any private individual can donate as much money to a clerk or any election administrator that they want, any amount. So that's the Zuckerbucks that we've seen in the past. That's all these different people, and that's how you can even bring it up to a Democrat and say President Trump or any of those individuals can do it. And then it also is going to potentially allow incarcerated felons to vote, which would make it so like Jackson Prison is the largest precinct in the state of Michigan, if that happens. So it's important to note that, I mean, because people are going to go into the polling booth. This is why we need to get the word out now. And the first line is going to be something like, we don't want to make it hard to vote, or we don't want there to be you have a fundamental right to vote, is what that first line is. So that's why they tried to hide these things behind some fluffy language.
Well, and then what about will you share that example of, like, with Ionia? You were telling us about Ionia the other day, and for any viewers that haven't heard it, to me that hit home. How Ionia, a lot of the population are inmates.
There is more people that would be in the prison of Ionia than in the municipality. So there would be more voters that could vote for the township supervisor, or they would be voting on the county prosecutor that just prosecuted their case, the sheriff that arrested them. I mean, yeah.
So, and for those that are like, I know we're getting into the weeds of this, but for anybody that says, oh, but inmates' lives matter too, they do. We're not saying they don't. But people need to remember that when you're making a constitutional amendment, that is like, it's almost like saying, I choose to have my arm amputated. Like, it is that significant of a move. Or what would be another example? Like, I'm going to have a finger cut off. Like, people need to understand, when you make an edit to the Constitution, that is no small thing. So
no, it's almost permanent. And it's like, I mean, inmates' lives matter, yes, but I mean, it's going to make it so a murderer will have the right to vote, but the person that was murdered won't and will be gone forever. So like there's definitely a balance. I mean,
No,
it's some
that's
strong stuff.
fair. Yeah, the
So
amount. So I would say, like, as you guys are talking, if you're doing door to door, if you're talking to people, don't get caught up in the weeds. Just hit those top 3 points, and then as the website is ready, you guys will be able to point people there. Anything else on Secure My Vote? Really,
no.
what we need, I mean, I would say too, if people are like, okay, well, I'll just focus on social media. No, we need you to do social media and other pieces. So go out of your way to like call the local radio station. Did you know what's on the ballot? Go out of your way to ask your church to like send out an email to inform people. This is radically going to shift things. And we need citizens to say, yes, we want to improve our elections, but this isn't the way to do it. So vote no on proposal 2. Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Vote no.
Vote no, vote no, vote no. And I think my guess is Heather would do this for us. We just need to do a graphic that's like the top 3 talking points and then just pepper it all over. Like, here are the things to remember. For anybody that asked too, our group, Americans Unite for Michigan, first of all, let me say this. There is so much value in having different groups involved, right? Because no one person, no one group can cover everything. So for Americans Unite for Michigan, we're not going to focus on proposal 1. Proposal 1 matters, but for Jeff and I, like, our focus is hyper, like, we got to turn out the voters. We got to make sure the Senate holds the majority. We've got to make sure 2 is defeated and 3 is defeated. Any other comments on that, Jeff?
No, I think there's so much going on, and we just see it. I mean, from the top of the ballot all the way down to the bottom, whether it's the partisan offices, the nonpartisan judicial, school board candidates that we'll get to, and all of that. And then the proposals, we have local proposals, as I've mentioned, and as Amy knows, she has a proposal in Jackson County. So there's just like so many things that everybody can only take on so much. And so that's why we've put our focus on making sure the Senate is retained, because for the first time in 40 years, there is a chance that the Democrats can take over the Senate, which is terrifying. And also to making sure that proposals 2 and 3 are rejected by I would love for a significant majority of voters to reject it. But all we need is that 50% plus 1. So.
Well, let's segue to proposal 3 then. We will start populating the group with like different helpful links, different helpful handouts. And I think as material comes available on proposal 1, we could definitely throw stuff in the group. We're just not going to like make the case one way or the other. But proposal 3 is what most people refer to as the abortion proposal. But what we need to draw people's attention to, and I heard from Right to Life of Michigan, and they said, I was like, what are the top 3 talking points? And they said, parental rights, parental rights, parental rights.
That's how we win it. That's what the polling shows. That's how, because if you just focus on abortion, we're seeing how, I mean, Tudor is getting just like so many ads are throwing out there about abortion, and the Democrats are trying to frame this on abortion, but that's not what this proposal does. This proposal, that's like one small, like if you have a bowl of cereal, that's one little piece of cereal. There's so much going on in this proposal that's not, I mean, we got to focus on the parental rights. If you believe that you should ever have a right as a parent, then you cannot morally or anything vote for proposal 3.
Well, and we need people that disagree with us on every other issue to know about this as well, because you take liberal mama bear who she and I might disagree on 99% of things, but she wants to know what's happening with her kids. And this is going to take away parental rights. Your legal counselors, your teachers, your pastors, I mean, people that advise and coach your children will no longer have to notify you if your kids want to make some radical decisions. And I think, so we would encourage people, like, sign up for the email list. Heather's throwing the group in the chat. Sign up for the email list, read through the material, share the material. Always, like, an ideal thing is, like, if you're going to bring it up on social media, make sure you can always have a place to point people for additional info, right? It doesn't mean their questions don't matter, but you need to draw their attention. Jeff, do you remember, like, the average person, their attention span is what, like 2.5 seconds?
Yeah, and they read, the average voter reads at a 5th grade level. They don't think about things long. They want to move on. I mean, so many people just want to go into the polling booth, quickly vote, and then go to work. I mean, that's what they do. They've got lives to go and continue, so they can't spend all this time researching and thinking and stuff. So that's why you got to have those quick points that are, this is about parental rights. Do you believe that parents should be involved in these decisions that are going to be life altering, lifetime decisions of a 14, a 15-year-old? If you believe that a parent should be involved, then you have to vote no, because this proposal is just going to say, parents, you don't matter.
And I'm not even a parent, and that like infuriates me. Well, and the other piece is it's the constitutional amendment.
Permanent change.
Even if you're like, you know what, where I'm at right now, it doesn't really matter to me. Well, okay, that's great. But your grandkids are going to be impacted by this in 20 years when they want a say in their kids. Because people need to understand too, a constitutional amendment, once that amendment is done, you can basically count that it's going to be that way for forever, right? Like, I don't know what the historical precedent is to like undo.
I'm not 100% sure on Michigan historical precedents on amendments, but I mean, on the US level, we've only ever repealed one amendment, and that was drinking. I mean, from 18 to 21. So that's the only, that's the only, or prohibition. So that's the only amendment that's been that on the US level. On the state level, I don't know if, I mean, I don't have that knowledge, but I don't think it's frequent and stuff. And I mean, look at how long it took us just in the US Supreme Court to overrule Roe v. Wade. It took 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, if a constitutional amendment passes, you can expect it to be probably that way for 50 years.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So a couple ideas that we would throw out to you guys, and then we'll jump over to the school board topic, is, so first of all, get creative. Like, pick out of all the topics that you could be involved in with this election, choose like the most 2 or 3 that are important to you. You can't do it all, we can't do it all, but choose the ones that are most important to you. And then also start to get yourself organized, right? Like, give yourself 24 hours if that's what you need. If you're an organizer, get your calendar out. Start plugging in times when you're going to either start making phone calls to friends, or you know that you can give to a campaign, or goodness, take your children with you. Like, honestly, and I do not have children, but I would say, what is at stake right now in our elections would be worth it for you to take your kids out of school for a couple days and go teach them how to do door-to-door, teach them how to do phone calls, like involve them in the process. If you want to have, it's like what Jeff said, that freedom of the next generation is not guaranteed. And this is the best way to do it, is engage your children so that they can start to catch the bug.
So I know someone, so one of my friends posted that her child, they're homeschooled. He's like, I think he's 6 or 7. And today, on his own fruition, he decided to set up a table outside that more normal kids are like, oh, you sell lemonade or something. No, this time he had a literature table, and everybody that walked by, he handed pieces of literature to say, you should do like this. A 6-year-old. I was like, that's precious.
That's the best story ever. So if grandparents are like, I can't drive, I don't feel safe going far, you know what? Follow the example of a 6-year-old. Back up your truck to the edge of your driveway, have homemade cookies, and get information out with a smile. I think other things, other things.
I was just going to say, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that other things are like pulling together, like as Heather creates amazing graphics, you can, so I'll give you a little tech tip. Jeff and I know this, but pull up your Facebook app if you're on Facebook, or let us know and we can email it to you. But you can save it to your phone, that image. Save it to your phone. And then as you start to strategize to say, okay, I'm going to start texting 20 of my friends this information in a strategic way, not in a way that's going to be annoying, you can then attach that image and you can say, hey, did you know what's at stake this election? Boom, boom, boom. Did you know? And you can email it to people, go through your contacts, like start to get creative with distributing information, because you'd be amazed at just a little bit that can make a huge difference.
It's gonna, yeah, and just also utilize your local GOP offices, because
Yes.
they're now starting to get full of all the signs for the candidates, for the literature of every candidate that is in their municipality, in their region. They'll usually have, and so many counties in these last couple months will open up a victory center, or a small office. Because I think I saw Livingston opened one, and I know they
Mm,
don't normally have one open. Macomb's has a couple open. Oakland, Kent on the west side. Like, there's so many different places where you can get that literature that you might want to hand out to people. And they're also going to have literature for school board candidates. And this is our transition. And I
that's
want to
good.
ask Amy, why are school board candidates? Why is this the time to fight for our school? Like, why is this it? Why has this become one of the top issues?
Well, I know it's, oh man, where do you even start? Like, I think that there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about all things work together for good for those who love him. And I think what the last 2 or 3 years has been very hard in Michigan. I mean, it's been hard around the country, but we would all say, like, Michigan, California, New York. I mean, we've been hit hard because of our government leadership, right? But the good that's happened out of it is because things have been shut down for so long that parents' eyes were open to see what was going on in their schools and with their children. And it ties in to what we were talking about, Proposal 3. Why do school boards matter right now? Because of parental rights. Because while public school is an amazing gift and an amazing place for so many people, but what teachers and administrators and, some school leadership, one, they've been so used to, like, parents and community members not getting involved, that they've gotten used to doing things on their own and doing what they thought was best. And it has become this kingdom. Well, now it's gone so far, too far, that now is really the opportunity when school boards, like, if we ever have a chance to put some more common sense back in our schools, it's now. Like, people are stepping up. And Jeff, you know races better than I do, but I think school boards will be easy to win with even just a handful of extra votes. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's at the bottom of the ballot, where people, especially, that's the like one of the most least known races, where it really comes down to, oh, I recognize that name, I'm gonna go vote for it, or I know that this is my slate of three conservative candidates, or three candidates that are gonna put my rights back as I want the parent involved in the child's life, or something. Is there any resources you would suggest to go to find the right school board candidates?
Yeah. So, first of all, I suggest getting in touch with, so determine what county you're in. So, Livingston, Oakland, Jackson, reach out to your county clerk. And you should be able to Google, like, county resources. You should go to the elections page for your county, Jackson County, and look for your local clerk. Email them, call them, and give them a little bit of time to get back with you, because they're juggling many balls, and to say, could you send me a list of all the people that filed to run for school board? If you don't hear back, do a gentle follow up. Ask another friend to do that. But they should be able to send you a list to say, here are the 30 people that have filed for school board races and what school boards. So when you get that list, share it with other people in your county that care about this, right? And then, like, laser in on your school. So if your school, the one that's in your zip code, start to check out who's running, who are incumbents. Now, it's highly possible some of the incumbents are rock stars and they need help staying in. But you're going to find that out by checking out, like, asking around to people to know, checking with, like, their websites if they have it. But best of the best is pick up the phone and call them. What do you believe in? What issues are you passionate about? And then step up and put some elbow grease in to be a part of that. The other resource that I'm pointing everybody to is Matt Wilk. If everybody hasn't met Matt Wilk yet, he was on school board for 8 years. He's a lawyer. He started a PAC, Get Kids Back to School PAC. And Heather, remind me, I'll make sure to put that link in there. He has gotten behind, I think, about 50 candidates around the state. They're endorsing but one of the ways you could help is reach out to Matt and be like, where do you need money? Because I'd like to make a big, these races are going to be won with just a small amount of money. Tudor Dixon needs millions, but these candidates could use a few $100s, a few thousand. So I will put Matt's website in there, and yeah, anybody that's endorsed by the MEA should be a red flag to people. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that the people who are in the schools haven't done a good job, right? There's a lot of value, but we need school board members who are going to welcome the parents, who are going to welcome transparency, and who are scouring up one side and down the other any books that are inappropriate to kick them out, and 100 other issues. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and the other thing that I know is, so I mean, I like how Megan mentioned reach out to local parent groups. If you know,
Yep.
if there's a Moms for Liberty group, if there's
Yep.
there's so many different of those local groups that have popped up in the last couple of years that have really been maybe going to school boards every week or
Yes.
something to see who's that and seeing and kind of what might know more of that perspective. But also
Yep.
that money does really help, that like little
Mm-hmm.
bit, because that couple $100 can make a flyer that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
around before. And our school board candidates, I've been hearing from a few of them, it's just people don't think about donating to school board candidates. They think that like they think of the ones that they get emails for every day from national candidates or
Mm-hmm.
state candidates and all that stuff. They don't think about those like local smaller candidates that maybe aren't sending those fundraising asks and everything, and you can throw $25 to them or
Mm-hmm.
something to
Mm-hmm.
try to help. And if everybody did that or was able to make a difference there, that would really that would
That's
probably
huge.
tilt the scale.
The last thing
So
I'll say too, and I think just kind of summarizing the discussion is, everybody needs to be encouraged too. Like, take the issue you're most passionate about and run with that, and then have a place to point people for more information. So what do I mean by that? So if you are passionate about education, like, start going door to door in your neighborhood to say, are you aware of who's on the ballot for education this year? And oh, by the way, if you want more, if you can, when you're talking to that person at the door and you're like, we have a lot in common, point them to a website like the Michigan GOP or like the Oakland County GOP or like, a trusted organization that's going to have different resources for them. So in other words, you don't have to feel like you have to stand there and tell them for 20 minutes everything that's on the ballot. You can point them to Americans Unite for Michigan, and we'd love to get them more info. Jeff, what are your kind of parting words, your nugget, your challenge to people as we go into this new week?
I just think, I mean, I'm just seeing it. Energy is picking up. People are
Mm-hmm.
tuning in more. So now
Mm-hmm.
start having those conversations. I mean, 58 days. So I think that means we're about, if it's today's the 11th, that means we're 18 days from regular Michiganders getting those absentee ballots. So that means in a
Wow.
month from now, we could have 40% of people voted. So it's so
Wow.
important to start having those conversations, have like chat. If you want to get connected to someone like that you want to be targeted, we have the form that Heather's been putting in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Fill it out. It's real quick, and we are sending out. We actually just typed up everything, and we're figuring out how to connect you with the closest Senate candidate that's near you to direct you to the right person there to help, because we got to make sure we maintain the Senate. And just, I mean, have these conversations. As I always say, the red wave's not going to just happen. We got to make it happen, and we're going to make it happen because we're all going to stick together and move forward in unity here.
I think the last thing I would say is just be a participant of this group, like invite your friends to join, um, encourage people to discuss, because when there's synergy, then momentum can build. And actually, the more that, we can even make small donations to a Senate candidate, to a gubernatorial candidate, like that encourages the candidates. And even if it's $5, but it allows them to turn around and say, listen, I've got 1,000 people that are throwing their support behind me. So never underestimate like what a small thing can do. But I think just going above and beyond, and so many of you are going to say, but we're so busy, we don't. I'm sorry, but my challenge to our group here in Jackson, and I think Jeff would agree with me, we have got to live our lives and do all that we can in the next 58 days, so that when we wake up on November 9th and we look in the mirror and we've got the wins and we've got the losses, that we said, I did everything that I could to get the best outcome. And if you are living your life in a way that you will not be able to say that on November 9th, then now is that moment to make a change. So I think I do. And I had somebody that was asking me about Tudor Dixon commercials. I've been told to watch for those today. So I'm waiting to hear on where they're supposed to be out. But I do think, just watch as more donations come in, and praise like the campaigns too, because they have to be so wise with resources. We don't want them just throwing money at the wall. We want them to be strategic. So, Jeff, I'll let you close with the parting words, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon, and just keep up the good work, and let's make this happen.
Thanks, Jeff. Talk to you soon.